Good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Pait Group and Joy of SharePoint Ignite 2021 recap. 2021, it just feels good to say 2021, doesn't it?
It does.
And we're making it. We're making it, friends. Well,
So far, it's been rough. It's a little rough still, but
yeah, but
optimistic it's going to keep getting better.
it's going to keep getting better. Every day's better. It's almost a year in, and it feels like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm excited. It's spring. Everything's going to be great. But we're actually here to talk about Ignite 2021. We're going to recap and talk about what Richard and myself thought were some of the most exciting or useful takeaways that came out of the Ignite. What do you even call that? I know it's just a virtual event, but it's so much more.
Yeah.
It's just quite the show that they put on for us every year.
Yeah.
Well, if you've never joined us before, we are just thrilled that you're here. My name is Joy Apple. Out on the social side of the world, I'm known as Joy of SharePoint. I'm a modern workplace strategist at Pait Group and a Microsoft MVP. I've had the pleasure of working with Microsoft product and technologies for over 12 years now, and I get to help people figure out how to go from where they are today, perhaps in a legacy SharePoint environment or a file share, the G Suite, all that fun stuff, and get them over into Microsoft 365 with planning and strategy. And I've had the pleasure of being a coworker of Richard Calderon, who's with us today for just over a year now. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Yep. Thank you, Joy. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar today. As Joy mentioned, my role is also a modern workplace strategist for kind of workplace peers when it comes to this. And our role is really entirely focused around kind of customer success overall. We really want to try to dig in and understand what are the business drivers and ultimately the business outcomes that you're trying to achieve as an organization. And then how does Microsoft 365, the technology, help enable you to be able to achieve those business goals? So that's really the entirety of what our role is. And we geek out on various things at times too. So kind of geeky like that. But as Joy mentioned, we just kind of still just hard to believe it's already in 2020, and now we're in March for that matter, 2021 now. See, I said 2020.
You've been hurt by it. It lasts.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. But Microsoft already, kind of out of the gate, coming out with their latest virtual event, plus more, the Microsoft Ignite conference. So hopefully some of you had a chance to listen in, if not hear some of the great announcements that came out of that event. But if you didn't, we wanted to share with you some of our favorites here today. So let's just dive in.
Let's dive in. Curious though, so we've got the Q&A. If you have questions, comments, observations, opinions, be they good or bad, we'll take it all. Feel free to go there. If you did join Ignite, I'd be curious to know. So feel free just to pop something in the chat, thumbs up, anything. We'll take it all. We love the interaction. We like the attention, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to warn you, we've got a lot of slides today, but we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on any particular one. Ignite's a 2.5-day event. We boiled it down into about 18 slides. Going to give you resources at the end with links. You'll notice in the slides I've got hyperlinks, which means you're going to be able to get your hands on these and go dig in and do some more. So fear not. So some general announcements that I'm excited about on this slide. Cortana enhancements. I'm curious, who out there, maybe do a thumbs up in the Q&A. Do you use Cortana at all day in and day out? Do you use or take advantage of or get the Cortana daily briefing email? That thing is amazing. Richard, it's amazing.
I would agree. That was something that when it first started coming out, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me kind of take a look at this email. But yeah, it's really been nailing it for me a lot lately, especially when I've committed to something and just kind of forgot about it because you know how it is. There's a lot of things to keep track of. It's helped me out a couple of times in that regards.
It's great. If you don't get those, we'll send some more information your way if you need more. But basically, Cortana pops up in your inbox first thing in the morning, and she sees, I guess, I don't know, what you talked about the last few days. Did you tell someone you would get a document to them? Did you mention a meeting? And she'd be like, did you set that up? Do you need to do that? Do you need to make a task from this? It's great. It has actually saved my bacon a few times. And I'm like, oh, yes, I do need to send that document to somebody. It's great.
Yeah.
For those of us that are still working with on-prem data out there in the world, Microsoft Tunnel, which is not necessarily a new thing, it's been around for a while, but it's basically a VPN type software that Microsoft has available. They're improving on its capabilities specifically for iOS and Android devices. So you'll be able to take your smartphone, whichever brand you prefer, and get to your on-prem apps and resources with your mobile device. So I think that's pretty fantastic. A little bit more information here. And I found out for those of us that maybe happen to be Apple users with the iOS, OneDrive's getting a new widget. Regardless of which platform you use for your smartphone, if you don't have OneDrive, go get it. Go get that OneDrive app. I use it hourly during the week for sure. I use it off my mobile device if I'm out and about pretty frequently. I would have to say it is kind of life-changing, not to overstate it much.
Yeah, really, any and all the mobile apps, really, they all have their use for sure. So just kind of depending on your workflow, highly encourage you to go out and get those mobile apps for Microsoft 365.
And if you don't have the new Office app, which is your Word, your PowerPoint, your Excel, everything all in one, it's a good one. It's a good one. I think we did a webinar on that a few months back. We'll have to recirculate it. It was good.
I'll put a link into the chat.
The webinar is good too. All right, Edge. Edge. All right, I know 12, 13, 14 months ago, you probably would have heard me say Microsoft Edge and you would have just left. Don't want to talk about it. It wasn't that great. The new Microsoft Edge, it's rock solid. It is a tremendous browser. I'm actually seeing some things now that it does that Chrome doesn't do. Edge is actually built on top of Chrome type technology. It's really great. And there are enhancements coming to be able to work with PDFs in the Microsoft Edge browser. This could be revolutionary for people that really are just neck deep inside of documents, PDFs, all that jazz day in and day out. To be able to view and validate your signatures, interactive tables of contents, and in my mind, adding notes to PDFs inside the browser, not having to have Adobe Acrobat logged or downloaded onto your machine, would be pretty great. Updated enterprise tab page, that new tab page inside of Edge, they're going to be updating that to bring more of your enterprise content to that tab. So if you're logged in Edge as your work persona, you'll get your enterprise content right there. Awesome. I actually start my day on the Microsoft Edge home tab. I find it very useful. Richard, do you, or are you?
I have, and I found it very useful as well, especially when I'm trying to find something like a PowerPoint presentation that maybe you shared with me at one point and things like that. It's just super easy to find that all in one place from Edge. So yeah, and I see a comment from Hello Miss Joy. That's great. That says sleeping tabs and left nav tabs. Yeah, I actually just myself, I kind of stumbled across that the other day. Edge ran an update and all of a sudden I was like, what's this? And there's this ability to take your tabs and make them vertical on the left-hand side now, as opposed to horizontal across the top. And while it's a little bit of a different way of working for me, I kind of like it. I think that's cool. So
it's definitely different. In fact, I'll switch over and show it.
Yeah.
This is that right here.
Mm-hmm.
Today's the first day I've started using them.
Yeah.
So far, only once have I gone to close a tab over here and closed my whole browser.
Yeah.
Like, but it's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah.
And
Got to give Microsoft credit.
Yes. This is that enterprise tab. And you know what? If you feel this is taking up too much space, you just close it. Here's the stuff I go to a lot. Here's my calendar, right? Here's my stuff that I need to get to. Fantastic. Just do it. Okay. This I'm excited about. So inside of Outlook, they announced some better, I want to say my Southern wants to come out, some more better time management features inside of Outlook. This calendar board, I think, is going to be pretty fantastic. It's going to hit the web app first, which makes sense. The web app's a little bit more reactive for updates, easier to update than the desktop application. I can see this really helping get things organized, and just watching this little video, I can't wait for this to hit. It feels like Planner is coming to Outlook.
Yeah, we saw something like this. I'm pretty certain, although I haven't verified, that this is kind of the evolution of what initially they were calling Project Maca. It was something that was kind of in preview, and then they kind of rebranded it to what they were calling Outlook Spaces at one time. And there probably still will be something called Outlook Spaces that kind of has more capabilities than just the calendar board. But this is basically the same idea, is these little cards that you can organize into this canvas and pin all kinds of different things that matter to you. And I think that's a really clever way to be able to do that, because again, the whole idea is to just allow you to focus in and customize this sort of workspace into a way that matters to you and all the things that are most important to you. And again, you could change it at any time, so you can move all these things around. Really, really looking forward to it. Sometime next month, I think, is when it's scheduled to release. Yeah, April, it says there.
Yep, April. Hard to believe that's already going to be next month. So be looking out for this update, and I'm going to challenge you. This is your second challenge so far, and we're only 12 minutes in. If you haven't tried the Outlook web application lately, and when I say lately, like in the past year, give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the capabilities that it has and how quickly it loads compared to the desktop application.
And I think we did a webinar on that.
I think we did do a webinar on that, Richard.
Yeah.
So right. And so some more things, the suggested times are going to have some updates here. And a lot of this I noticed here in the video, it's the mobile app. I actually use the Outlook mobile app instead of the built-in Mail app from my iPhone, just because it's got so much more that's personalized for what I do day in and day out. So I'm excited to see that a lot of this is rolling into mobile and that the AI is just going to be getting better and better.
Yeah, one of the things that I think I'm looking forward to most for this capability is the magic where, you know, if I want to schedule a meeting with Joy and Stacy, and then of course it's going to look at all three of our calendars and try to see when is there a slot when all three of us are available. Well, this new suggested time capability will see that maybe Joy and Stacy are in fact available during this window, but I'm not at the moment. So then it'll allow me and maybe even make some suggestions on when I could move my time conflict so that I can accommodate that meeting with Joy and Stacy. I just think it's cool, because today, you know, it just simply shows as unavailable, right? Because the three of us are not available. But the fact that it knows that you have control of your schedule and that you could kind of float some things around, and then maybe even make some intelligent suggestions on how to restructure your day, I just think that's really, really slick. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Anything that can make scheduling meetings easier, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Hands down, because it's just complicated. Okay, Microsoft Teams time. I kind of feel like Ignite 2021 was the Teams show. There was a lot of Teams announcements in Ignite. And it could just be because that's where a lot of my focus is, but I feel like the majority of content somehow, some way tied back to Teams.
Yeah, it's just reinforcing Microsoft's message right now, right? Teams, teams, teams. Everything is teams, and
Teams. Because teamwork makes the dream work.
rightly so. That's right.
All right, so Teams Connect. So I actually had someone ask me if I'd ever heard about shared channels before, and I kind of had to go, no, because I kind of knew something was coming. At Teams Connect, what this does is this lets you create a channel inside of one of your teams, presuming you are the owner of that team. And that channel, it's kind of the opposite of a private channel. That channel will allow you to bring in people that are not part of that team's Microsoft 365 group. Bring them in as additional collaborators just in that channel. And it has potential to get tangly with permissions. Anytime we're playing with permissions, it does. But how many times do we go create another team just because we need one spot to talk with these 2 extra people?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now we'll be able to do that in a channel. My spidey senses are tingling and telling me that when we do create that external or that shared channel, we're going to get another SharePoint site collection to support it.
Yeah.
But that's security best practice. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, this definitely, especially on the external collaboration side, has the opportunity to solve one of the biggest kind of headaches, I guess, that most people tend to experience when they're dealing with kind of guest access in that case. But yeah, having to flip back and forth between tenants and so forth can just become a real pain. So that ability to be able to do that just in line while you're inside your tenant and not have to be kind of flipping back and forth, that's huge. Really looking forward to that.
Yep, it'll be very interesting. I'm excited to see how that plays out for us. Tasks in Teams. I think it technically is still Task in Teams by Planner and To Do.
Yeah.
Really long title. Someday, that's just going to get shortened to Tasks in Teams. The approval process for that is about to get some updates. Yay! New templates, attachments, Markdown support. And this is rolling out within the next 2 months. March and April should be coming out in April. I personally am looking forward to the #1 thing I've ever wanted Teams to do for me when it comes to tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Let me click that ellipsis next to a message and create a task.
Yeah.
It's rolling out this month, people.
Yay. And there was much rejoicing.
And there was much rejoicing. And I'm not a task person. Richard, you, folks, I'm going to tell you. Richard did an internal lunch and learn about a year ago on how he uses To Do to stay organized. He is the most terrifyingly and impressively organized person I've ever seen in my life.
I think we did a webinar on that too. So
yes, we did. I wouldn't call it terrifying.
It's a little insight into my personality. Scary.
It's just the only way I can think of to keep all the balls in the air, basically. But yeah, looking forward to being able to do that from Teams messages, just like email messages and things like that. So it's going to be great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Security and compliance. Oh, I mean, it's a big deal. The more mobile the world becomes, the more interconnected the world becomes, the bigger the risk is for our information and our data to get into the wrong hands. Especially, we're going to be paranoid, let's be honest about it. We're sharing things more and more with external collaborators. Microsoft is keeping pace with that. In fact, I'm going to say they're probably 10 steps ahead of every move they make inside of the products on the platform. So they are continuing to roll out encryption capabilities, security and compliance features for every aspect of Microsoft 365. We've got new end-to-end encryption rolling out for our Teams calling. I think there's going to be, oh shoot, I saw it, but I didn't write it down, some additional security around one-on-one chat as well. So a lot of good stuff is coming. If you are in the security side of the world, and I'm looking through to see if anybody has any questions. I don't see anything about it, but if you've got any questions or want more information on security and compliance, there is a link here that will take you to the announcements. But of course, get in touch with us. We can help you with that at Pait Group. I would say number one concern people have when they're moving from something on-prem into the cloud is the security. I think the more we take a look at what Microsoft offers and provides, the more we can kind of rest assured that it is a safe place to put our information.
Absolutely.
Hey, Joy, we have a couple of things that have popped up.
Okay.
Do you want to address them?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to Edge, they want to know, is there a way to hide the weather card on Edge? I never even, I like to know what the weather, I don't know why, but I personally like to always be like, oh.
You can't, actually, I think it's this. I think it's this personalize. I think you can tell it you don't want it. Oh, maybe not, because I don't have it selected. Maybe you could just move it to the bottom. You'd be like, get out of my way.
Get out of there. A couple other questions. You ready?
Yeah.
Somebody else's spidey sense is tingling on shared calendars and private ones for that matter. Why wouldn't you just use Outlook to communicate with those other folks?
Was the question shared calendars or was it around shared channels? I just wanted to try to be clear on what the
right. They
we were talking about shared channels a minute ago. Right.
So I'm thinking that it's shared channels that spiked this comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think that would make sense there.
Now, and okay, so if we are talking about calendars specifically, I agree. Why wouldn't we just use our Outlook calendars? Now my brain is spinning in about 50 different directions all at once. With the coming of the shared channels, there may, I don't know for sure, there may be potential if those external or those non-team member folks are getting bundled into a new group. There might be a new group calendar that comes along with that, but I don't know for sure. But I think as far as calendaring goes, you can have a channel calendar that we can all kind of keep track of, maybe our meetings that we have with our team on specific topics. But other than that, I agree. I like the idea of just, if we need to be somewhere together at the same time, let's just use our Outlook calendars.
One more and then we'll move on.
Let's do it.
Okay. The approval created a bunch of notifications for outstanding stuff prior to when it was enabled. Oh, this must be something. Let me just read it through one more time.
Okay.
The approval created a bunch of notifications for outstanding stuff prior to when it was enabled. So much so I had disabled it because of complaints. Has anyone experienced anything of that type? Did I miss something? Trying to see where this was connected to because it was the last item that popped up.
Yeah, I'm guessing that must be the approval, like task approvals, I guess, is when we were talking about the approvals.
Yeah.
Approvals app. And so if you had the approvals app and I guess if you had gone in and set some things up before that kind of released or whatever, it started to have a bunch of notifications based off of that. I'm trying to just glean from the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think maybe we just need to get more detail from you on what it is that, yeah,
because maybe if there was something that was connected to it in the past, but it never really went very far, it might have grabbed onto it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, everything's late. Wait, we just started this, right? So there could be some older dependencies that were out there.
exactly.
Okay, here are just some general meeting enhancements. Then we're going to get into the fun stuff that I can't wait for. So, meetings. Have you ever wanted to have a meeting with 1,000 active participants? Well, soon you can, because that is going to be happening. Stacy's in the background shaking her head. No.
You and 999 of your closest friends?
Coming soon to Teams. Invite-only meeting controls. This is going to roll out this month. That lets us make sure that the people in the meeting were specifically the ones that were invited. You know, no plus ones, right? That's not how we're going to roll here. That's not going to be enforced for everything. You have the choice, you have the control. Enable or disable attendee video. So if we were all in here and everybody were sharing because we're in a meeting and the video's on and something weird starts happening in the background to somebody, whoever's in charge of that meeting can go turn off that person's video. That has some good potential. We've all seen those Zoom videos going around on the internet of when it went wrong, right? So we can keep that from happening inside of our organization. And it's always funny when it happens to someone else though, right? New presentation capabilities. We're going to do a deeper dive into that after this slide. But if you are some of the fortunate folks out there that have Teams rooms in your organization, as we're going back to the offices, if you've never closed down, good for you. You may be embracing some of this technology soon. But in Teams rooms, like on the Surface hubs and all that, there's going to be new gallery options. Now this one is cool as cats. Intelligent speakers.
Yeah.
So these Teams devices are going to be able to identify up to 10 people in the room. It will know their voices and be able to tell the people listening in who's talking, and it will show who they are during the meeting. It's going to be cool. We need an office now.
That's some magic there, though.
It is. It's like NASA stuff. Dynamic view is coming soon. So as more people join or people drop off, the videos will dynamically adjust on the screen. And notice how they're moving up to the top of the screen instead of at the bottom. How many times in meetings are we sitting there looking at the bottom right-hand corner of our screen these days? Now those are going to be up top. So we'll be closer to eye contact through the webcam. That's going to be rolling out this month. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right, next up, PowerPoint Live. Richard, this is going to be life-changing for us.
Yep. Definitely looking forward to this for sure.
So what the presenter view is in PowerPoint Live is, as if we had this today, I would be able to see, because of a little red square, what's around what I'm sharing, but I'll still be able to see the upcoming slides at the bottom, people's video feed at the top, and any notes on the slides to the right, all on the same screen. That's going to be wonderful. If you lead a lot of meetings, oh, just wait. It's about to get so much better. And they talk about the seamless transition between presenters. It's because honestly, there's not a switch anymore. Once this comes online, I won't have to stop sharing and Richard won't have to pick up and start sharing. We'll just toggle who's in control of the slides. That'll be nice. I will enjoy being able to see video feeds while I'm presenting content to people. It's one thing I miss most with our current COVID world is I don't get to see people face to face. It makes me sad when they don't turn on their videos. So live reactions, it's on this slide, but this has actually started rolling out already. So while someone is presenting, you can give applause, you can give a thumbs up. I noticed though, when we were on the meeting with Michael the other day, there was not a thumbs down. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Teams won't let you boo anyone. Positive vibes only.
That's right. That's right.
But that is all rolling out right now. Uh-oh. Too far, too fast. Presenter mode. I'm looking forward to this as well. My video still isn't playing. So during presenter mode, you'll have the ability to put yourself in front of your slide content. The standout is what this is called. Then there's the reporter, which kind of has the content over your shoulder while you're talking, and then side by side. I think this is going to be great too. Now when people share their screens, it kind of just feels like it's some bodiless voice that's talking to you. You don't pick up as much on the body language and the facial expressions. It's so much less connected than what we've been used to in the past. So this is going to bring much more, it's going to humanize our presentations.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's been some workarounds that a lot of clever people have done for something similar to these capabilities for a while now, but now it's just going to be built right into Teams. So you won't have to even, try too hard. It'll just be right there available for you.
And look how fancy it all looks. It's going to be great. Okay, webinars. Hey, we're doing a webinar right now. Webinars and broadcasts. Stacy's in the background freaking out over this one. So instead of just a live event or a meeting, there's going to be a hybrid for doing webinars or your corporate broadcasts. You'll be able to have registration, all kinds of controls to be able to turn on or off chat, video, let people mute or unmute. You'll be able, so if you're a larger organization, you're going to be able to scale this out to, 10,000 people. At that point, my understanding is the technology will only support the view only, but that's a big reach. That's pretty exciting. This is starting to roll out this month, the registration piece. We are actually, Stacy, I brought her into a meeting yesterday. We've got a customer that wants to get rid of, should I say it? I'm going to say it. They want to get rid of GoToWebinar because they're embracing Teams, right? So what can Teams do to support our webinars? Look, it can do so much, and so much more is coming. So it's really exciting. So look for more and more of that to be rolling out over the next several weeks. And throughout the year, there's going to be more of a tie into Dynamics. So if you're using Dynamics as your CRM, get ready. Teams and Dynamics are really starting to come together.
Hey, Joy, before we go on to the next one, somebody was put in a question, how is 1,000 participants different from live events? So I think this is like a perfect opportunity to kind of rehash the difference.
So live events, I guess I feel they're a little bit more formal. So to me, I miss the verbal interaction with people from doing the public speaking thing, right? So for a webinar or what they call now large meetings, you can allow people to unmute. Inside of a live event, it's not an option. You don't get to. You're muted. You don't get to butt in and talk to me, even though I wish you could, but we have the Q&A. So the webinars are going to have more capability for engagement. Currently, the live events, again, being a little bit more formal, they are organized by a producer. I don't know for a fact if webinars are going to have a mirrored role like that, or if it's going to be somewhat more like a meeting. More to come on that. And live events can actually be created from Yammer, Stream, Teams. Are those the only three, Stacy? Am I missing one?
Those are the three.
Those are them.
Stream,
Yammer and Stream.
My understanding is webinars are going to be team only.
I personally think of live events as like a town hall opportunity where you're speaking to a large audience, and yeah, they could submit their questions on the side versus that back and forth engagement.
Back and forth engagement and the registration piece, because I don't see, this is more your world, girl. There's really not a built-in registration piece for a live event, whereas a webinar is going to be considered for the public. So there's going to be more capabilities for that around it.
100%.
Reporting, all kinds of stuff. I'm excited. Okay. All right. Next one, Azure. We got any Azure people in the house? Make yourself known. I need to learn more about Azure. That is an area where I am lacking, but the clouds are growing and they're getting more capabilities. Richard, it's a wild world out there.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that Microsoft kind of hinted at for a really long time, and they knew that there had to be kind of a better way to get organizations to really benefit from the entirety of their cloud story that is across Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and now the Power Platform. So this whole idea that, you could certainly just leverage all of them and then kind of tie them together in solutions that made sense for your business and your industry, they said, you know, what if we did that work for them? What if we went down specific industry verticals like healthcare and retail, and now coming financial services, nonprofit, manufacturing, and probably more as they keep going. But what if we just kind of got that whole set of cloud solutions with a number of capabilities that were specifically geared towards those industries in place in these kind of all-in-one set of cloud services, and then allow companies to be able to opt in to these specific clouds? That's just a really clever way of doing that, in my opinion now. So yeah, it is a really interesting way to kind of think about just different way of getting all these features available to your business.
And if you think about the capabilities that are out there now, so right now in Teams, right, there's shifts. And one thing I don't think made it to one single slide, but I'm going to say it out loud right now, the walkie-talkie feature that's coming out, that's part of Teams where people can communicate live there for those frontline workers. Lots of focus is out there right now for our frontline and our first line workers, who have historically been a very underserved segment of our worker population, and we're making that right now with the help of these tools from Microsoft. I can only imagine the retail cloud, the manufacturing cloud, really having a lot of those features and capabilities up front, spotlighted.
Yep.
For consuming for those personas. So the clouds, each industry cloud, to have those bundles of features right there ready to rock and roll for those specific needs. It's brilliant. All right. I feel like I should have some music going forward to the next ones, because I mean, what about Microsoft Viva? We haven't said anything about that yet. And that's kind of a buzz phrase right now. Anything Microsoft you're hearing about Viva. Question, is there anyone out there who hasn't heard about Microsoft Viva yet? Is this a new phrase for you? It's coming soon. And actually, it's kind of, sorta, partially here right now.
Yeah.
Viva Connections is a module that is currently available as part of Viva. Now, if you're sitting there going, Viva, what the heck does Elvis have to do with Microsoft at all? Viva is this combination of features and capabilities inside of a variety of Microsoft apps. It's all coming together, and it's going to come to us in Teams to help engage employees, both for internal news, learning, well-being, and insights for management. So there's a lot of it all coming together in one place. Connections is the one that's out there, and it is free of charge inside of the Microsoft platform. And that is for they're bringing back the terminology Microsoft and Office 365 customers.
Yeah.
So you'll have a landing page inside of Teams that will bring to you information from inside of your organization.
Yep, and that was a big announcement around the no additional charge piece at the moment, because everybody was wondering about that. Is that going to be something that's going to be an upcharge or an add-on? And they mentioned at Ignite that it's going to be no additional charge. So pretty cool.
And it makes sense. I mean, we're basically talking about bringing a homepage, right?
Yes. You definitely have to have some things set up in your environment to really take advantage of all of this, such as like having a home site set up. And so if you don't necessarily have a kind of fully fleshed out SharePoint Online intranet with a home site, then, maybe time to start looking at that at this point, because then you can really start to take advantage of these new capabilities like Viva Connections.
The Viva Learning, I'm intrigued by that. Basically being able to have a hub for learning right there inside of Teams. And I'm going to say it inside of your intranet, because Teams is an integral part of your intranet these days. It's not just a site anymore. It's throughout the organization. Pricing isn't exactly available now. I've got a feeling that someone's going to call up Microsoft in a few months and say, hey, how much is learning? And Microsoft's going to say, it depends what you want.
Yeah.
You know, do you want the Cadillac of learning experience, or do you want LinkedIn learning and learning pathways? Right? That's not based on any kind of insider information. I feel like you're on the same page there, Richard.
Yeah. Plus, if you're going to go with some of the learning providers outside of Microsoft, third-party ones, if you would, partners is probably the better way to put them, then, you know, you'll end up with a subscription or however many subscriptions to these various providers too. But the ability to pull them all together into a single curated learning experience inside of Teams, that's really where the benefit and the value is. Because, you know, again, with everything that's going on still today and potentially the working remotely not necessarily changing now that we know that we can, basically, that ability to continue staying sharp on your skills and continually learning, as the name implies, that's critical. So Microsoft really doing some really innovative things here by bringing that all into Teams, which is where people work every day.
And I would say let's rewind a year and let's pretend COVID never happened.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right, wouldn't it? This would still be important.
Sure.
Right? It may not have happened as quickly. Right? We always have to find the good every time we can. But the ability to have one place dedicated to bringing the news and engaging the user base, bringing employees in and treating them as individual employees, not just the users, that's a big deal. And this is going to be a great platform that's just going to make it easier us to find what we need in one place instead of having to go to all those separate systems and try to figure out what link to click on and where was that PowerPoint when they emailed it last month. Right? This is far superior to that.
Exactly. We did get one question that related to that. It says the difference between learning pathways and Viva Learning.
So at the moment, learning pathways is something you can configure inside of your SharePoint intranet to get that Microsoft curated learning content. The difference being in my mind is that Viva Learning will incorporate that and all this other stuff from, as Richard said, learning partners. Yeah. Am I leaving anything out of that, Richard?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. So learning pathways today is very much focused on Microsoft 365 specifically, whereas Viva Learning, I believe, is going to cover a broad set of capabilities, digital skills, even maybe non-technology related learning you could bring in. Whatever is relevant, obviously, to you as an organization or the individuals, that will be something you can carry together in the new Viva Learnings module, where, as Joy mentioned, Learning Pathways is an existing SharePoint-based solution today that you can install in your environment. So they'll probably be pulling parts of that into Viva as one of many, I would say.
Yep. All right, insights. I can't wait to get my hands on this. We can kind of maybe turn our heads a little bit, especially if we tend to be more of the old school technical mindset. But Insights is going to be a place where you can come inside of Teams to help start your day, make it through your day, and end your day in maybe a little bit more of a healthy manner than we have been during this really weird world we've been living in. Mindfulness is a word that's been coming up more and more and more. Well-being, employee engagement, well-being, health checks, things like that are all really coming to the forefront because as we all got pushed home and disconnected from our coworkers and our workspaces, and now not only are we working from home, we're helping our kids learn from home. And are you doing tech support for your spouse? That's a real thing, right? We all know when you're in IT, or if someone finds out that you're good with computers, you're now the family IT person. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine if your spouse is also working from home or you're sharing space in your home and they're like, hey, you're good with computers. I don't care that you're working. Help me fix this. But Insights is going to be a place to help you with that mental clutter that we're all kind of dealing with these days. I'm looking forward to the virtual commute. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed having time to start my day and then having time to wrap my day.
Mm-hmm.
But when the day never ends, where do we go for that?
It's true. It's true. Having a utility or a tool that kind of helps you be able to do that as a regular behavior, I think is a really great thing, because maybe sometimes you can kind of, depending on what's going on, you can kind of get to some things to prepare for tomorrow and to, kind of get yourself to where, okay, I'm done with the work today. But I know more times than not, at least for myself, it just feels like it's just things are just continually going from one day to the next to the next. And so to have this as part of Viva Insights, I think is going to be really useful. Looking forward to it for sure.
And it's going to give insights to management and leaders as well. And my understanding is a lot of the information that's pushed to management is anonymous, but they'll know that it's part of their team.
Yeah.
Right. So if they start seeing consistently that they've got team members that are just sending a lot of documents back and forth at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, or there's just things like that happening, it'll be like, you might want to check in with your team, right? Because that's a high risk of burnout if we're never turning off and unplugging. Topics is the other fourth piece that's going to be coming into Microsoft Viva. Yeah, this definitely will be an add-on cost. And help me get everything right, Richard. This is going to be kind of a little bit of SharePoint syntax in Project Cortex.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, lots of texts here, but yeah.
I think it's going to be cool though, because you can go in using these tools and basically it curates knowledge for your knowledge workers. So if I'm out on the intranet searching for information, it's going to make that process more intelligent for me. Let's say I'm reading a document that I found and there's this crazy acronym in it that I've never heard before. I'll be able to hover on that word and it will open up a little information pane and tell me what that word is. Give me information about the document, who worked on it, who the collaborators were. Point me to my subject matter experts inside of the organization. So it not only helps us find our information better, but it gives us better insights to that information. Sounds fancy.
Yep, and then their ability to pull that into Teams now as part of a Teams app experience from SharePoint syntax and the whole kind of Project Cortex AI piece of everything, again, just makes that so where it's much more seamless, much more kind of in your normal day-to-day workflow and not something that you have to go find, which really kind of defeats the whole point of it bringing that knowledge and information to you, is you should be able to have that information brought to you in the context of where you're working.
Yep. So lots of exciting stuff definitely coming our way over the next several months. We can't wait. As soon as we can get our hands on more of Microsoft Viva, you better believe we're going to be doing a webinar on it. So stay tuned for that. Right. Now, if you've joined our webinars before, we usually do a poll at the beginning. You might have thought we forgot about it, but we didn't. We just figured there was so much information we were going to be kind of blasting at you during this. Once we got through it, we wanted to find out, what do you think about all this stuff that we've gone through with you? Let me see. Stacy has just dropped a link in chat. And if you would kindly click on that link and take that poll, that would be fantastic. I'm going to open up the form here just so we can see. Richard, I don't know if this is shared with me or not.
I believe so. I'm not sure. Let me do that with you real quick.
I'll just fill it out with you. Let me see. I'm going to be an IT professional. Right. And it's just that easy. Well, Richard, do we want to switch?
Yeah, I just chatted you the forum, the collaborative side of the forum, so hopefully you can just open that up.
We'll see. We'll see. Technology at its finest. Okay. Looks like we only got one response. I'm going to click the share. Here we go. We got another response. I'm going to throw the QR code, I thought, up here. There we go. So if somebody, if you want to grab your camera, you can use that to grab it, fill it out on your mobile device. Give it another refresh. Okay. Another one. All kinds of good stuff coming out. It's going to be hard, I know, in there to pick one. So let's see here. We got business users, IT pros, Teams Connect. Yep, that's going to be a big deal. I have a feeling that I'm going to be doing a lot of training on shared channels here in the near future. Let me give this another refresh.
There we go.
Yay!
What's coming out on top right now? It looks like shared channels for sure.
And the enhancements to the
enhancements
Teams meeting.
And the webinar capabilities. That's great.
Oh, we got another one. You guys are awesome. Look at you jumping in here. Viva, we're all, oof, love the colors too. Task from message, you are my people. That's going to be huge. So now we have webinar capabilities, meetings, and the Teams Connect, kind of all neck and neck.
Yep, would tend to agree on that.
Every time I go to scroll, it changes. So, webinar topics. You like to learn more about Outlook, the new Teams functionality, Power Apps. Yes, 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 and yes. Love it. All right. Now I know I promised I'm going to do one more refresh, see if I've got anybody missing. That we had some resources for you available, and we absolutely, absolutely do. So, and Stacy, you may have already done it. Yeah. That was great. So one of the next to the last slide in here, I've got links to some other Ignite resources. No, you don't have to take a screenshot. Stacy is going to share with you a link that's anonymous access. You won't have to log in or anything. That's directly to this PowerPoint slide or PowerPoint deck. And with that, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for filling out the poll and just kind of let us know what you're thinking as far as what you would like to learn more of and what you're excited about coming out from Ignite. If you haven't connected with Richard or myself on social media, the QR codes will take you to our LinkedIn profiles, and I've got our Twitter handles here as well. You guys are rock stars. Thank you so much for being part of today's webinar.
Thanks so much. We had fun.
Thank you, sir.